Hey, we are live. As always, I am Justin, also known as the DIY audio guy, here with my partner in crime, the one and only Toyd from Toyd's DIY Audio. How you doing, man?
I'm doing totalicious. That's a new word I
Toyd
just made up.
delicious.
Yeah,
That's good. You
totalicious.
should
It
make up
means it
words. It's
means
always fun to make up
yeah.
words.
I don't quite know what it means, but it means like pretty amazing. I think. Yeah,
Whoops, I didn't
yeah.
mean to do
That's what I'm
that. Let
going
me
with at
take this
least.
out of the stream. There we go. All right. We'll get to that later. So, what have
It's
you been
kind
up
of
to, man?
funny.
Have you been doing something fun?
Oh yeah. So some people have been noticing I am working on building a little what I call a minnow pond. You can call it whatever you want, but basically we like to go fishing in our big pond, and we don't have anywhere to store minnows, right? And we always want to go fishing with minnows because it feeds the lake and pond,
Oh yeah.
and they just bite like crazy on it. So I want to create a minnow pond where I could keep minnows and maybe keep some bass in. So I rented a mini excavator and dug out this like 40-foot long by 6-foot wide or 8-foot wide pond with a mini excavator, and it was fun. And we've been working on like getting that ready, like filling it with rocks and stapling the sides down and all kinds of stuff. So hopefully that'll be
It's
done soon.
it's no small task, but you got to play with an excavator, which is loads of fun, right?
Oh yeah, I brought it in the woods. I cleared out these woods that I never thought I was going to get cleared out. It was so awesome. I was like, all right, take that tree down, whatever. It was fantastic.
I it's been a long time since I've operated an excavator for a brief. When I was a younger man, I had some summer jobs, like all young men did, and I had a construction job. I wasn't the machine operator, but every now and then
Oh,
you'd jump onto one and have a little fun with it. And what I love about those excavators is this: you could take the bucket and put it on the ground, and then you could take the handles and run them opposite directions so the tracks would spin, and then turn the boom the other way. And so the tracks would just spin right underneath you. And it was, I don't know, it was fun. It was probably unsafe construction equipment. I've had a
which is
chance to
funny
run a
because today,
bulldozer like that. Yeah, the dozer operator wasn't there one day, and I'm like, well, hell, I'll get on the damn thing. Big old Cat D9.
what's the worst that could happen?
Well, it's so funny because the way that dozer worked is there's a throttle, a foot throttle. And when you
Yeah.
and it kind of worked reverse from what you would think it would. And basically, if you it was designed to be kind of fail safe, right? You take your foot off the throttle and it's going full blast, and you got to hit the throttle to stop it, which I guess isn't
That's
a fail
weird.
safe. The idea that you're on your
Yeah,
you're
it's like that.
sitting
That
there,
seems
you
like the opposite of a failsafe. Yeah.
Come to think of it, no,
Uh,
it's not. But I don't remember. It was 20 years ago. So, but it's kind of fun to play around on it for a little bit. Those things can get going pretty quick, but excavators are slower than hell.
Oh, it was so slow. And I have acres that I have to drive this down, and I'm pulling out like old big cedar fence posts out, and I'm like, well, where the heck am I going to put this one now? Because I don't want to bring it all the way back, all the
Right.
way back to the fire pit. I'll be like, I'd get like 5 of them done the whole day. So I was like, oh, geez. So I'd take one out, and then I'd create new fire pits. Oh, by the way, RGA is here. I saw that
Ah,
RGA and David K were visiting each other, so that was pretty cool.
oh yeah, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty sweet that they got to get
Got a
together.
got a,
And did you see Scott Bowie got a 140?
a
Hit
140.
140 in his yeah
Nice, loud. I don't know.
with
We like perspective
112.
with
112.
112.
That's what he said
Oh,
in the trunk.
we lack perspective sometimes. 140 dB is loud. It just
Oh
is.
yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. Good job. Good job. Did you get a trophy? Is the question, right? Any kind of trophy to go with that, or is that just a? I mean, it's a good number. The question is, were you good enough to get a trophy?
I gotta be. I don't care. 140 with 112 is ridiculous. I'm like, that's really
It
good.
is in a trunk. It's hard to. I mean, because the trunk's usually got a back seat behind it, right, or in front of it. I got a question I want to answer real quick from Randy G. Randy ordered one of those Super Beast batteries. Randy, I don't remember how long shipping took because I tend to order stuff and then it sits in my garage for a week or a month or a year before I do anything with it. Yeah. And so mine arrived at least 2 weeks before I even took a thing out of the shipping package. So I don't remember.
Yeah. You want to hear something funny? I told my patrons this, and I don't think they believed me, but they do now. So I work with some companies and they just send me stuff, right? Like that's it. Like, and I don't even ask for it and it just comes in the mail. And I'd never say I'm going to do a video. It just comes. And Aima does that all the time to me. And so today, or it was yesterday actually, I got 4 boxes and I was like, or I got 2 boxes like the day before and 2 boxes the next day. I was like, what is this? I didn't order anything. They're all, well, one's a preamp, but all the other ones are amplifiers by Aima. I gotta say, actually, they're pretty cool looking, so I probably will be doing videos on them. But it's, I was like, I didn't say anything about, one of them I'm really excited about because it does use the 3255 chip that a lot of people love, but it comes with a much more powerful power supply than most of them come with. So I don't know what it does because I haven't tested it yet, but that's gonna be exciting.
So Scott is currently at the top of the leaderboard in the budget class. So he is literally the loudest budget car in the country.
I believe that. I mean, 140 on a single 12. How could you not be? And I think and he said it was only 800 watts.
Oh, wow. What was it? What kind of sub was it? Does anybody know? I bet Scott knows.
He didn't say. Someone asked him and he didn't say. I wonder if it's a high efficiency sub.
Well,
I mean, only 800 watts. You'd think it
out.
Almost has to be. Well, I don't know, but it is 800 watts on a 12, though. That's not really that. Usually you would think. Well, I'm just saying. Usually you would think that would be kind of like mid efficiency, not. I don't know. I'm impressed. Our RGA with some kind words. We'd love to meet you as well. Not just there's so many great people in the audio community that are focused on doing cool stuff together. So an audio pipe BDC412. All right, you're gonna have to
definitely go
tell me a little bit about.
Here. I was like,
isn't audio pipe really cheap? Like considering.
Yeah, they're a budget. It might be the new budget king. It could be a next YouTube video title.
Oh, wow! They have 4 magnets on the back of that thing.
You got a picture of it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me pull it up. 4 magnets. If I'm looking at the right one, it does 1100 watts RMS and 2200 watt. Whatever PMPO now
says
means.
He paid $200 for it, so it's one of their bigger ones. It was not the Walmart sub.
No, it's this one. It says it's on sale for $253. Unless I'm wrong, this is the TXX
BDC 412.
Unless they have a different BDC 412.
It looks like he could have thrown more power to it.
Yeah.
All right.
3-inch. But, we know this already, and most people know. I mean, even if he threw a lot, he might get like another decibel or 2 out of it, right? He's not going to get.
Our RVH holds a record, too. It's loudest car in his driveway.
Loudest car in his driveway. Oh, nice. That's cool. That looks nice.
Clamping at 800, so very good. That's always good to hear news of victory of any and all type.
What I love about that too is if he's doing at 800 watts, he's probably going to be good for a while, right? Like a lot of those SPL guys, they're rebuilding their subs like after every meet or whatever, or every couple. So I bet he'll probably be okay for a little while.
So Mark, my build in my truck is done for now. The goal with that build was to get into a spot where I could quickly and easily pop subwoofers into the back to test. The next stage is to move the amplifiers where they're less out of the way, so I can pop more than 1 or 2 subwoofers in the back to test. So it'll never be finished ever. But it's in the state where I can film videos, make content, and hopefully entertain some people a little bit. So.
All right, Scott, when you get a chance, you need to email me or Justin, and we'll check our email, try to during the show, and we'll see if we can pull up a picture to put on the show and show everyone your 12-inch, because that's pretty cool.
That'll work.
Don't you think? Yeah. Send us an email. Send one of us an email.
So, Mark,
And
I'm
that you
loving
sent
the
it.
down for sound. Yes. Yeah, I'm loving the down for sound amp. The biggest complaint is that JP23 has a loud fan, and I'm really thinking about unhooking it and drilling a hole in the amp rack and putting a fan with one of those heat switches on it behind it, so that it's not on all the time. So I have a whine that I need to track down. I think it's the head unit. I haven't had a chance to troubleshoot that yet, but the whine is just a little bit quieter than the fan, so the fan does cover the whine. So
that's awesome. RGA said something earlier where he said, that he holds us both in high regard. And I just want to say in general that, first of all, we both really appreciate hearing that. I know I do. And I know you do too, Justin, because we talk in the background about that. But more than that, I want to say that we also hold you guys in high regard as well. So when you guys give us input, like especially during these live shows, you give the input, like that to us means a lot, because you guys are also imparting your knowledge back on us, things that you have learned that maybe we're not as familiar with. So we appreciate everything you guys tell us. That's why we love you guys being here every show. Keep us straight, Make sure we're doing the right thing, saying the right stuff.
And Mark, the rear seat's gone. There's no back seat in the truck anymore. So that's and I'll say this. 80% of the people in the chat know more about this stuff than I do. I don't pretend to be an expert. I'd only say things if I think I'm 100% certain. I'm wrong many times, but there's so much knowledge. I don't have a lot of knowledge. I'm not the leading expert in anything. I don't have any trophies. I'm not the top of the leaderboard like Scott is. So there's so many people out there that have just all this knowledge, and people share the knowledge, and we entertain each other and have a good time hanging out. And that's really what it's about.
I'll tell you this. If you're asking yourself, am I one of those 80%? No, you're one of the 20% if you're asking that question. I'm just kidding. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Thank you, Mark. Mark said, hey, when you build Parts Express versions of $1,000 speakers, amazing. I appreciate hearing that. Maybe we should
comment.
Maybe we should talk about what we came to talk about, which is why I'm missing a finger.
And
safety.
Rich, I actually clicked on your comment. I don't know the answer to the question. I don't know anything about the LCI2 Pro. I haven't really. I was going for Mark's comments. Yeah, the Parts Express version of the $1,000 speaker. Yes, I am top in my driveway and in my garage as well. So, yeah, let's actually get on to the topic of the show. That's a good question. So Nick,
safety.
What do you think? What's one of the most dangerous things you've had happen to you when doing DIY builds?
So, whenever I say DIY builds, I'm going to say DIY like in general, because believe it or not, I don't know that much. I mean, there's a couple things that have happened that I'll talk about, but the scariest thing that has happened to me when doing DIY in general was I was ripping a piece of something wood. I can't remember what it was on the table saw. Dull blade, by the way, never use a dull blade. I don't know what happened, but somehow the board flipped up, caught the edge of the saw blade, and kicked back right into my sternum. And it almost knocked me out. I left out of there and I could not breathe. I mean, you talk about like when you play football or something, you get hit and you can't breathe. This was like a million times worse than that. It was like, and that happened only one time. But one time too many.
I'm afraid of kickback because I'm tall and it ain't gonna hit me in the chest. And we've got our first super chat of the evening. David K, who's always so generous, reminding everyone to hit the like button. So
I want to know if David's still in with RGA or what. Like if they're still hanging out, like they're chilling out next to each other, talking and watching this together.
And David's on both our Patreon teams, and he's always so generous and always so full of knowledge. And I mean, It's great to have him around. So we thank you so much, David. And his comment will stay on the screen until someone drops a bigger one.
You know what? RGA just said something that I think that is actually a safety tip, even though he doesn't realize it. He said, "Hey, I got a hater now trying to drag me down. Almost made me forget what and who I was." Here's the deal. We get those all the time, right, Justin? We get haters all the time. Now, it's a little bit better with us because we can block people if we really want to. But it's still, it can still affect you negatively in a long way. And that is a safety issue, I think. Because when you're not in your right mind, you're doing DIY work. And that's why I try to live by the philosophy of building each other up, right? Like, don't tear each other down, but build each other up. If it's not edifying or good for the other person, then it's not worth it. Now, that doesn't mean that everything has to be roses and stuff. You can tell someone, hey, you're being an idiot, but you can say it nicely, right?
When someone,
because sometimes we need that.
When someone gives me criticism in the chat or in the comments that I believe is fair, valid level criticism, where it's like, oh, hey, I think you could have done some other thing better, I'll respond with, hey, I think you might be right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's when they throw an insult is when we block and we ban. So that's that's the main thing for me. It's the insults that get you blocked or banned. And you have to do that for your own mental health, because you will go crazy if you let those people bother you. And this is complicated because it's just, I don't know, it's mostly strangers on the internet that we're dealing with who are the trolls in the comments section. But sometimes that troll is your family member. And I'm lucky because my family members are all, I mean, they're great. They're easy to get along with. We're a family. Family always fights, right? But they're actually legitimately, aren't just out to get you. But don't let the haters drag you down. They win if they drag you down.
By the way, now that I said that, I started a new tech channel. Me and Just were talking about this earlier. It's called Tech In Out. It's on my Facebook community page. I linked it on there. I started a new one. If you guys like tech videos, like other things, like not just audio stuff, like other technology stuff. I will be doing audio stuff on there too, but all kinds of technology stuff. Check it out. It's called Tech In Out, kind of like In-N-Out Burger, but tech, like TECH. Tech In Out. I only have one video, and it's actually a repeat video of one that I've already done on this channel. But that's just to try to build up the subscriber base. But there will be new things on there all the time. I have things like VR headsets I want to review. And what were you talking about? Oh, I have this amazing new portable retro gaming system I'm going to show you about that I had never heard of. I bought one. It's pretty darn sweet. So those types of things, just all kinds of different technology, not just pertaining to audio. So if you like that stuff,
Rob in the chat, he's always had a good attitude about that kind of stuff, and I've learned a lot about how to handle the chat. He's always said, "Hey, give people the benefit out. Maybe they're having a bad day. Be kind to them. Return kindness when someone's mean. You never know what they're going to do. They might return kindness back." Not his exact words, but I'll tell you about my biggest DIY screw up was when I wrecked my back. It was right when I was starting my channel, and to this day I still have problems. It was surgery, months of physical therapy. Just so you know, with insurance and MRI, it was $750. But I've had enough of them now that I found cheap places to get MRIs. And you know what's not $750? This thing right here, the Harbor Freight lift cart.
You know what? That's a good point. Where's it at? Oh, he's got the picture of the audio pipe. Oh, all right.
I like it.
Oh, that looks nice. I like that dowel right there in the brace. Like nice,
yes.
Support there. He glued and screwed, it looks like.
Box.
Yeah. It really is like everything is budget. He didn't go out and like create a custom box for the back of his trunk. It's like, look, here we go. We're going to do MDF. We're not even going to paint this thing, and you're going to love it. That's cool. I like that.
You know what? The meter does not know what the box looks like.
What?
Right? The meter doesn't know what the box looks like.
No, that's true. Oh, he said he needs actually more bracing. And, that's one of those cool things. So adding bracing is something you can usually do later, you know, as long as you can get to what needs to be braced. So.
There we go. This is the tool I'm going to recommend. These boxes can get heavy. You pick it up wrong,
Dude, I like
you hurt
that.
yourself.
How much is that?
Okay, I want to say this is the 1,000-pound version, and I went with that one because it was the same height as my table saw at the time, and the same height as my bed on my pickup truck.
Oh,
and like
high five Vega.
You can find them for 200, 250, you know, inside track club discounts and stuff like that. Definitely worth doing the inside track from Harbor Freight. If you don't have Harbor Freight near you, they got them at Northern Tool. It's worth getting. It can be a little bit of pain in the rear. I wish it had like rubber tires on it instead of the hard plastic, but it's been a lifesaver. I would not have been able to operate my channel at all if I didn't have this device, so I wasn't bending down picking up boxes.
$200
without
that is
this one, I
definitely
couldn't
worth
work.
it.
I mean,
for $200,
do you want to have an
you
MRI or do you want to have a valuable tool for a third of the price?
It's not even that. Like, I mean, it's one of those things that's going to save you over the long haul, right? You know, even if you never had to have an MRI, right? Like, it doesn't matter. How do you get the box onto the trolley? Oh.
That's how.
Oh, there you go. Where'd you get that winch system? Harbor Freight?
It's Harbor Freight. Yeah, it's I think it's the 1,400-pound one, and I did the math. My joist can handle that and a whole lot more. So I did all the math right there, and so there you go. If I have something heavy, you know, between this and the cart, there's no lifting.
You want to hear something funny? True story. So check this out. I bought a winch, but goes up like on your car or an ATV from Harbor Freight. It was on clearance. They had a bunch that they didn't get a chance to test, and you got like 3 days to bring it back. But they were just marking it 50% off. It looked brand new in a box. So I was like, well, I'll just buy it and check it out. So I bought it for like 50 or 60% off. I can't remember. It was cheap. I think I got like the winch for like, I don't know, $30 or something. It was like a 2,400-pound winch. So I was like, all right, cool. Brought it home. Deer season. I hooked this thing up inside my shed, you know, my outside implement shed, put a pulley on it, put the deer on it, winched it up, hung it, you know, cleaned the deer. I'm like, I don't have to hurt my back anymore. It was great. I'm like, so from here on out, that's how I clean my deer out. I buy that $30 winch and winch. You know, it saves your life, dude.
My brother's a big deer hunter. It's exactly what he does. He built, you know, he got some cedar post and built, I don't know what you called it, but just winches them right up. So the heck with that heavy lifting and hard working, that's not fun at all. Let machines do the lifting.
Dude, those are heavy. I mean, even, and that's the thing. So, all right, you know, if we go to the gym, both of us are going to easily deadlift 80, 100 pounds easy, right? I mean, that's going to be simple to do. You can do it. Trust me, you can do it. When I was a power lifter back in, which doesn't, no one would ever, everyone laughs at me because they didn't like, you're never a power. But in high school, we did a powerlifting class. I was powerlifting there. And I would do 460 pounds on deadlift. That was my deadlift max that I ever did. That was one time. You know, I couldn't do anything more than once. But you talk 100 pounds of dead weight that you're picking up and carrying that's awkward and in a box. Dude, that is completely different. Like that, you can hurt yourself. Or when you're talking about after a deer, after you gut it and skinned it and bring it out, even if it's still 80, 100 pounds, man, that thing is, it's no fun to carry that. We don't catch and release the deer. No, I do catch and release fish, but not the deer.
The deer doesn't help you carry it. It has no interest in moving along.
No. No. Yeah. If anything, I have to slow it down first.
All right. Let's get back on topic.
Yeah, I think we were on topic. Yeah. So one of the things that I've done that I've hurt myself that I think is more just paying attention. Well, you know what? I'll talk about this first. People have said, hey, they had issues with routers. So let's talk about routers. So when I first got my first router, I didn't know anything about it, right? You get like a round over bit or something, and it usually has a bearing on top, and you know that that has to stay on top of the wood, but that's about all you know. Well, one of the things that I found out relatively fast is that you're supposed to route in a certain direction. Did you know that? You just can't route any direction you want.
Yes, yes, I've
Yeah.
made that mistake. I got it on film.
Yeah, you route it with, if you route it with the bit, it just takes it and boom, that piece flies off, and you could really hurt yourself. And I think like this Atomic said, he almost routed his finger off 2 years ago. And my guess is part of that was routing it in the wrong direction. If you route it in the wrong direction, or like he said, dull bits, those can both be dangerous. You need to make sure you're going, what was it, against the bit, right? Like whatever way the bit's spinning, you go against the bit.
Right, right, right. So I've got a picture. Let's do a picture real quick. And let's see if I can zoom in just a hair. What I wanted to show was this thing right here. I'm not sure if you can see the cursor pointing to it. That's called a starting pin.
Yeah.
And the idea is that the starting pin is on your right as you face it, and you put the workpiece on the right, and you move from right to left if you're on the bottom of the bit, opposite if you're on the top of the bit. So the idea is you put your piece against that starting pin and then move it along. And I would recommend that, and I would recommend getting like a small
Well, that whole
heart holder.
system is good. Because that one you can easily just, because when we're talking about routers, a lot of people try to adjust it while it's running, and which you shouldn't do anyway. But like this one locks it in place. This one has a lock on it, and you can just incrementally move it up just a little if you need to, at a time. Because, whenever you're routing or cutting anything, if you try to do it in one pass and you're going real deep, that's always more dangerous. So you should be taking oftentimes multiple passes, do a little at a time.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Multiple passes, a little bit at a time. Yep. Did not have a starting pin. Yeah. When I did, the biggest problem I had, I was trying to route the inside of a circle, and it was kind of hard to start that off of a starting pin, but it's really easy to go the wrong damn direction.
Yeah.
Your mind gets twisted on the inside of a circle. It's like, wait, I know I'm supposed to go this way. Which way is that?
I think I'm going to get one of those carts, by the way. That'd be really good, especially taking parts off the CNC and stuff. Oh, excuse me.
Here's something that I got. I actually made this myself. You can buy these, but I thought, why not try to make it?
Oh,
That's one of those acrylic router shields. I just took a piece of acrylic and cut it down and put a couple of handles on it. And so now you can like tape your workpiece to this and then run this over the router, right? And off and running.
And you use double-sided tape.
Yep. Have you seen car audio fabrication use? I don't use it very often, but when I've got to route something that's a little bit on the iffy side, I'm thrilled that I have it.
Yeah. Does that still work with like when you have like a bearing on top, or does that not catch it?
Yeah. All you got to do is maybe stick an extra piece on some risers so that the bearing doesn't hit. But I've never had a problem with that. It's always worked.
That's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So here's another safety thing that I think most people should get. So whenever we're working like with speakers, subwoofers, we often have to cut big pieces of sheets down, like 4 foot by 8 foot. MDF is actually 49 by 97. Most
right.
It's a little bit bigger, so 48 and 1 inch and 8 foot and 1 inch. Doing that on a table saw is scary, man. It just is. I mean, you can do it. I've done it. I don't like doing it. And it would be nice to have like one of those saws that like Home Depot and stuff has, But those are expensive. Those are crazy expensive. So for me, I would tell people, and this is what I started doing, as well is I bought the Wen, like WEN, not like Wen track saw to cut my boards,
Yeah.
to cut the piece down. And I think that is really the way to go for 95% of people that are doing this. Because you can
Stu
cut.
here has been telling me for a while I should get a track saw. And he's right. I should get a track saw.
He is. I just bought one on Amazon. It came with 9 or 10 feet of track, and the tracks. I think it was like $130 or something. You know, is when it's not, you know, it's not Fez tool. I get that, but for what we're usually doing, you know, where sandpaper is your friend as well, it's not a big deal. I think it's
the
the
strategy
safest
that I
tool.
use.
Oh, it's actually 160.
I get them broken down. Yeah, break them, get them broke down at the big box store. Just
I do too.
have them oversized a bit, and you can cut to size. They sometimes get sometimes they're more accurate than they are other times. So
Yeah, I mean the issue, and I do that too. But depending on what you need to do, I went ahead and shared that Wen tool if you want to see it. Some of the issues that you have to worry about is like mine. I don't know why they always have it off, so it's cutting at an angle. So it'll start at 4 foot and then end at like 46 inches or whatever. I'm like, okay. And then I have some other issues with the saw being down a lot. You guys may not have those issues, but for whatever reason, where I'm at, the saw is always down. It's like McDonald's ice cream machine. It's like you're lucky if it's there and working. So what I do is I get one of those carts that you can put the wood on top, and then I get it on top, you know, however many sheets I want, and then I'll bring it out to the car and I'll grab another one of those and I'll just kind of put them between each other and then just rip them and cut them. That way, I have a spot for, you know, whatever I'm cutting to fall off, and I'm good to go. Now, I haven't done it with this because this is not. This doesn't have battery powered. I bring my DeWalt battery powered circular saw and a straight edge just to cut them in half if I have to. And they just stay in my car as a just in case.
if I go the track saw route, I'm probably going to get the. Sorry, I thought I kicked my cat. She was under the desk. Whoops. If I go the track saw route, I'm probably going to go the Ryobi since I've already got Ryobi batteries. I've got batteries for days. You buy a few tools, and the next thing you know, you got batteries just stacked up everywhere.
I mean, that is the one downside to this. I haven't. Yeah, is that it's corded. It would be nice to have a battery, like a battery one, but I think like I went with DeWalt, and I don't even know. Man, their track saw was expensive, but I don't know if it was battery powered or not. Let's see.
I'm sure they have one. I mean, every battery company's got, every tool company has a
There you
battery
go.
powered track saw.
Look at it. Look at the price of it.
Yeah,
For the
DeWalt,
60 volt.
they're fond of their tools.
Well, and the other reason, here's the other reason. You have to ask yourself, like, how long you need it, because, like, how long of a length you need to cut for. So this one
Right.
is 100-inch, but you can buy the tracks, because sometimes it's super expensive to buy the tracks. And it is another $80, but you can do 200 inches. And how long are you going to ever need more than 200 inches? Like, that should be the most you'd ever need. So, or
that's
if a
what she
piece goes
said.
by. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there are some of those track saws that if you look, it's impossible to find a track by itself half the time, or it's expensive.
So here's a, since we're talking about saws, just a saw tip for you. This is probably the cheapest safety device known to man. It's just a block of MDF that it's 1/2-inch MDF that I laminated together and drilled a hole in so I could clamp it to the table saw fence. This is for cross cutting.
Okay.
And let's say I need to cut, let's say I've got a 2x4 and I need to cut it into 6-inch pieces. I set the fence to 7 inches because this is exactly 1 inch because it's 2 pieces of 1/2-inch MDF. And then I can use the fence as a reference and make cross cuts without worrying about binding the piece of wood between the saw blade and the fence.
Interesting. And that works well for you, huh?
Yeah, I started
never
using
heard
this
that
one
before.
for the old saw, and this one I need a longer one, so I need to go build another one just a little bit longer.
I've never heard of that. Interesting.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, really, I'm surprised. That's an old trick apparently. So
Well, you know what I like
I
to do, depending on the width of what you're cutting, right? Cross cutting, is they sell feather boards. Are you familiar with feather boards?
yes,
Yeah, they sell feather boards that you can stick in your track slots. I have some of those. And what it happens is if it starts to kick back, the feather board will stop it from kicking back. And so, do you have one in your?
I don't have a
You've
feather
reached-
board,
Oh,
but
you've
but
reached
it made me
down. I
think
thought
of
you were going to
something.
pull one up. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have any feather boards, but it made me think of something. There's a company that this is a push stick that I got. The company is called Bow Products. There's a link in the video description. There's a company called Taylor Toolworks that sell these, and Bow Products makes some really cool feather boards. And what makes them neat is that tip is a softer, it feels like a shoe sole kind of
Yeah.
rubber. And
Yeah, I have the feather
and
board of that. Those are nice.
yeah, the feather boards, exactly. They use the exact same material. And what's cool with that push stick, if you hit the blade with the push stick, it just grinds away the material. And apparently, some plastic push sticks, if you hit the blade with them, they'll shatter the push stick and send shrapnel flying everywhere. So Bow Products is what they are.
And they sell replaceable of those tips
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah. The
So,
tip
yeah.
comes out, and I've never pulled it out yet, but yeah, it pops out, and so it's reversible. So if you run one end, you can.
So
flip
is
it over
that
and
why
run
you
the
have
other
so
end.
many kids?
That's what she said. Nothing worse than a
geez.
sore tip. Yep.
Well, you set yourself up for that when you say, "Well, I've never pulled out yet." You kind of set yourself up for that one. Sorry.
That's not the tractor method is not a very effective method. I don't recommend it. You want to they're effective tools.
You know what? That's a good point, though. Using the right tool for the right job is another really big safety tip, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone uses screwdrivers as pry bars, but you're not supposed to.
Or knives. Or knives.
Knives. Everyone pries with a knife, but you're not supposed to.
No. Or they try to
Break.
unscrew something with a knife. Next thing you know, they're in the hospital getting stitches. You're like, ugh.
Yep.
It is what it is. So I was going to say, one of the things that I sometimes forget to do, and I don't do it very often anymore, brad nailers, right? Like brad nailers are good. Like if you're gluing and you need to brad nail a little bit before you can really clamp it down. I never use brad nail as some people will brad nail instead of clamping down. I don't do that, but I will use brad nails to help hold pieces in place while I'm clamping it. And I think that's a great effective tool, but you got to pay attention to where your hand is when you're doing that, because if you miss it and you go a little out the side and your hand is there, I've done that quite a few times, and that does not feel good.
I haven't yet put a brad nail through a finger yet because I know it's going to happen eventually. And Stu is giving me some good tips on there's a way you can you hold the brad nailer perpendicular, less likely to have a blowout. But I had a close call not long ago. I was working on a box and I had my hand over the top of the box, holding onto the box from the other side, right? And I was shooting some brad nails, and the brad nail went through the wood at an angle and went and hit my wrist. It just bounced off because it lost all its inertia going through the wood. And I had this moment like, oh crap, that could have been really bad.
That could be really bad. Oh, jeez. I mean, it's those things so that you do, and then you're like, please don't do this. And then people still do it. And you're like, why did you do that? I told you not to do it. But you know what? It happened. Yeah, advice I wish I'd listened to. Exactly. We've all been there. We're telling you now, don't do these things. You will hurt yourself.
What do you do about all the dust in your shop? How do you keep from getting lung cancer from the formaldehyde and the...
And I breathe in as much as I can to get as much out of the shop. So there's two things I run. I run a Wen, once again, WEN. So here's the deal. Let me explain who Wen is, because a lot of people don't know this. Wen is a Chinese company. Yes, that I have that. Wen is a Chinese company that literally rips off other people's. I hate to say it, but it's true. Like Rikon makes this, right, for like $600 or $700 or something ridiculous. I don't know how much it is. It's the exact same unit as far as I can tell. Maybe there's something different, but as far as I can tell, they're the exact same unit. And this one's like $130 or something of that age. I don't know. That's what it was when I bought it. So I use that, and then I also, use like on my CNC, I have hooked up, a dust extraction unit, and I'm gonna probably get one for my chop saw soon. I have another one I'll probably use on my chop saw. I should say I need to build an adapter for it though. But I want to use my shop vac for it. I was like, why can't I not think of shop vac?
Right.
So when is like the cheap alternative? Like if you want like the nice stuff but you don't want to pay for it, when is like that cheap over? Wow, it's $250 now. I'm telling you, I did not. Oh no, it's $131. Oh, I don't know. I guess it depends on. Oh, they have different sizes. Which size did you get of that?
I don't remember what size I got, but I knew it wasn't cheap, and it was fine. It just was expensive. And while you're talking about Win, there's another Win out there. This time it's spelled slightly different. WYNN, Win Environmental, and they sell these canister filters that will filter out the really fine dust particles. And in the picture there, that's the Harbor Freight dust collector, but just $250 when you catch it on sale with the coupon. And the filter is $250. So that setup's $500, but it's still cheaper than the same dust collector from Jet or someone like that. That's what I'm running right there.
So here's the deal. I get so tired of I kind of like, I don't really like these. All right, I'll be honest. Here's the reason why I don't like these. That's a nice tool, and it is nice. And Harbor Freight sells them now too, and they're all whatever. But the thing that I don't like about it, and you're gonna laugh at me, and I don't care, is the stupid plastic bag at the bottom. I mean, what do you have to buy a bunch of plastic bags to replace them? Pretty much.
Oh, I hate them. I think it came with two, and about the filter, it came with a couple. So now I got a stash of them. And the bags are supposed to last forever, but they don't.
They don't. They're plastic. I mean, But the one that I have is an old one. I bought at an auction, and it came with the nice, like, big, like, potato sack type thing.
Right.
That thing is awesome. Like, that thing catches everything, and I'm never concerned about having to buy more of those bags or anything else. So, yeah, I mean, if they were made to last forever, they wouldn't have gave you two with the machine.
Right. Right. What about a dust? What about I mean, obviously you're doing more than just filtering the air. You're wearing a dust mask too, right?
Yeah, depending on what I'm
obviously.
doing. No, I do.
Right.
I use man, I cannot remember the name. I can't remember the name of it right now. I can look it up, but yeah. And ear protection, obviously. I did find what I think is the best value. Actually, I want to talk about ear protection after that. All right, go ahead. Well, whenever we get to it.
So I bought at least two different versions of this that has the Velcro straps and like neoprene, and they have these filters that you can pop in and out. I was holding to the camera, right? And what I find is that once you pop the filter out, the thing starts coming apart, and I never can get them put back together. And I feel like they always kind of capture in a bunch of sweat and don't feel good against my facial hair, and I despise them, and I don't like them. And I have the respirator too, which is really handy if you're going to work with any kind of solvents or anything like that, because you can get the cartridges that are really good filters. But this one, I mean, it's kind of hot, right? I don't enjoy wearing it. And what I found is that I'll wear this. It's comfortable and it works. So just like, it's not the cheapest one, but it's not, fancy.
Let me see it again.
Just a dust mask.
Oh no,
and these are 3M.
Yeah, I used to I used the reusable ones, but you have to replace the filters after so long, right?
Right. But actually, these are fine. I like them. So
I don't quite understand. Okay. Let me tell you. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about your hearing protection for a second.
Okay.
Hearing protection is kind of tricky to buy because people will give an SNR rating, which is signal to noise rating, decibel rating, and then other people will give an NRR rating. And it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're supposed to go by the NRR rating, which is the noise rejection rating or whatever. And it'll say how many decibels it can go down. So if you're in a car that's playing 140 decibels, if the signal to noise rate or the NNR is 30 decibels, then you're hearing 110, not 140, which is still bad. Don't be in the car. So, and that's the rating you're supposed to go by. And you want to look at all your different hearing protections. Now, there's something that I like that's really cool. Harbor Freight sells some, and I don't know what the NRR rating is. I'm going to guess it's probably not real high on it. And you can buy some from Amazon. You can buy some all over. But what they have is electronic hearing protection. Do you know what these are? Have you come into these yet? Come across these?
So I think Father's Day last year, my family got me 3M brand and they're Bluetooth, so I can play music.
So
and they reject
that's
noise.
cool. So that's cool, but this is actually a little bit different. The way that these work is they reject anything over 85 decibels. They get rid of, right? So you don't hear anything above 85 decibels. And the cool thing about that is you can still hear people coming into the workshop and or talking to you. And I
They
like
don't surprise you and cause you to jump and grab a spinning blade.
Exactly. So they don't scare you when you're working with equipment, because that's one of the scariest, most dangerous things, right? Someone coming in and scaring you when you're working on the CNC or the the table saw or something, and next thing you know, your finger's gone because someone scared the cat. And they didn't mean to. Especially when I have two kids, that they just don't understand that yet. One's 4 and one's 7. They don't quite get that. So I don't know. I think those are pretty cool. They basically reject all your noise above a certain frequency range, and then you can hear everything going around you still. And I think, if you can find a good NRR value of those, I think those are an interesting take on ear protection. I think you're
use protection every chance. I cut the grass, ear protection. If I'm running a little slower, lawnmower, ear protection. Sorry guys, I'm a wimp. If I'm trying to do an SBL test or see how loud this subwoofer can get, if I'm in the vehicle when I'm doing it, ear protection. My thought is that I want to go deaf enjoying my music with my loud stereo. I don't want to go deaf with power tools or working. So anything that's loud, ear protection.
Yeah, and they sell some really high end ones that do this for those that go to shooting ranges, because once again, also something you should probably have when you're shooting guns. Like if someone's like, "Hold on, stop, don't fire," something that you don't see or something. You want to be able to hear that. And so I don't know. I like that they're more expensive. They're a lot more. I mean, they can be $100, $200, or they can be $50, $60. I think the ones at Harbor Freight are probably like in the $30 range. But to me, I think that can be invaluable. And I don't always use those, so I'm not going to say I do.
So here's the thought. If you have your hearing protection on, all right, the saws aren't as loud. And so you're going to be less likely to rush through what you're doing, because if you're around something loud, you're going to want to try to get away from it.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to hurry through things. It's going to cause you to rush. And so just the simple fact of putting some basic, roll them up and stick them in your earplugs, whatever the case may be, lowers the noise just a little bit. And maybe that's all you need, so that you don't rush through this cut and, you went too quick and now you got to kick back and you can't breathe, or you just castrated yourself with a piece of wood flying back at you or something.
Jeez, you went there.
Or your fingers are all laying on the side of the saw, getting blood all over your nice cast iron saw top. Those things happen. And maybe if you just had hearing protection on, you wouldn't have rushed, wouldn't have hurt yourself.
Well, not only that, like, you want to be able to enjoy life. That's why I was telling my dad. My dad is already going deaf, and he still doesn't hear ear protection. Like, he still doesn't use it. I'm like, Dad, don't you want to hear your grandkids like next year? No offense, but like, we want to be able to communicate with you, So,
So, it's interesting. I grew up on a farm. I mentioned this every so often, and farm equipment's loud, right? We were on that excavator all weekend, running it full throttle. Hopefully, you had hearing protection on. But I can remember we would use the tractor to grind feed for the hogs, and the way you did it, you turned the PTO shaft on, and you took this thing to full throttle. And I remember we switched to a regular tractor to one with a cab, and it was so much nicer because you just closed the door and it wasn't deafening up near the tractor. And it's just how my dad's not completely deaf, I don't know. Even at this point in my life, I've got a little bit of tinnitus. I get a little bit of ringing, and I notice it's worse after I've had the stereo cranked up. And I'm thinking that's unpleasant, but I like the loud music. I'll suffer, but I'm not gonna go deaf with a router.
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can, do something to help that, then do it. That's the way I look at it. If you can do something, do it. If you can't, there's some situations that you're going to be in that unfortunately you may not be able to do it. So here, let me share this screen real quick.
Yeah.
So this is a $30 one. And there's other ones, and I don't know how good this one is. I've never used this. It's got great reviews though. But operates on 2 AAA batteries. But it says right here, what it works is it has built-in omnidirectional microphones that whenever it hears a sound over 82 decibels, it cuts it down to 82 decibels, providing enhanced communication for hunting, shooting, etc. Noise reduction of 25 decibels. Like that to me is pretty good. And it says right here, Design USA, it only shuts off all the noise when ambient sound reaches 82 decibel. That means when you're shooting or hunting, the sound reaches 82 decibels, the ear muffs will shut off all the sound at the same time. You know what? Actually, I don't like that. I like the other one better. That just kind of reduces the sound.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because
It's like it's not going to shut it off entirely. It can't. They're just using
right.
overly strong marketing language.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Because it can't, you're right. You literally can't cut it all off. You're right.
Oh, yeah. Overly strong marketing language. But absolutely. From my older videos that I was wearing earmuffs, ear protection while running a router. Like, what router is that loud? All of them are that loud. Every last one of them. It doesn't matter if you think they're all loud enough that if you run the router all day long, it's going to damage your hearing. And I want to hear the music.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's something that some people just don't take the time to put in. You just take the time.
What about eye protection?
Well, I usually just wear my glasses.
As do I, but these aren't safety glasses, and debris can still get around them. And when I'm doing something where I know I need eye protection, I'll put goggles on over the top of the glasses. And I don't use eye protection as often as I should because it's terribly uncomfortable putting goggles over the glasses. The goggles fog up and you can't see anything. They're always dirty. You got to wipe them down before you put them on. So I'm really thinking about the next time I get my eyeglass prescription eyes looked at, just go ahead and order a second pair of glasses, my normal day-to-day ones, and then safety glasses to keep out in the shop.
Yeah, I did that. They keep my eyes safe from the sun. They're sunglasses.
You have the ones that you have the ones that turn the ones that transition that change the darkness as you go outside.
No, I just have sunglasses that I can.
Okay.
Ones that I can see in the water, the polarized ones, so I can see fish.
Gotcha.
No, I was just being a little silly. I don't usually. The only time I use eye protection, typically, and maybe this is bad on me. I'm not telling anyone not to do what I do. I usually wear a hat and glasses, so it's pretty hard for things to get in there. I'm not saying it's impossible, but harder. The only time I wear safety glasses is when I'm using the laser, because the laser you have to.
Okay. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do a safety show, because after I had the little spark show with my Super Beast battery, I got to thinking about it. Those sparks that went flying, those were little chunks of hot metal. And if one of those had gotten in my eye, I mean, I would have. It could have been game changing, right? It would at the very least been a trip to the emergency room.
Oh, at least, yeah.
It may have kept me from making content and kept me from working for weeks.
So, don't go ahead.
Emergency room, and so I need better eye protection.
I had a friend who was deaf in one ear, right? And so you knew when he didn't want to talk to you because he would sit down with that ear facing you. So you'd be like, I guess he doesn't want to talk to me today. But the thing about him is I have these TWS ear pods, right? Or whatever you want to call them. Here.
Yeah.
If you put these in and they don't connect, right? Like one doesn't connect and you only have sound coming through one, dude, that sounds so weird. Can you imagine if you had to hear that way like all the time? Like that to me would be awful. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, all right, I've got to keep my ear protection. Because when you put that in and it doesn't connect, like if they get a good seal on there, you don't hear anything. It's different than like just having one in your ear and one out of your ear because you're still hearing everything here. But when you have one in that doesn't connect and it makes a good seal connect, you don't hear anything in there, and it just sounds so weird.
Yeah, it's.
Jeez, that's no good. I think we lost Justin. Either that or he's teaching us the importance of silence in a shop and why it's so safe. I don't know. Alrighty. Yep, lost Justin. These are
all right.
Near and dear to me. I'm not on the. I mean, I'm on Discord. I'm not on it right this second, though.
I like Discord. I just don't have time to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, if you had
keep
anything,
fire extinguisher in the shop.
I do not, but I do. I want to explain this real quick. I do not keep a fire extinguisher on the shop. However, I do have within less than 5 feet. I have a hose hooked up to my well. My well is basically 5 feet away from my shop. So, no, I don't. I probably should, but I'll just use the hose if it ever gets to that point. I don't think it, I don't know. Maybe I should, but I don't. Yeah, we need to. All right, guys, I want you to do me a favor. If anyone believes that Justin needs to get better internet, I want you to tell him in the chat section. Just say right now, Justin, stop playing games and get better internet or something. For the cost of less than $100, the internet will save your life, Justin. That's what Mr. E just said. The internet will save your life. Actually, he didn't say internet, but I'm ad-libbing here. Oh, Ashy, nice to see you, man. What if it's an electrical fire then? Well, if it's an electrical fire, believe it or not, the fire station is a mile down the road. So I'll just call them. Actually, I'll probably call them either way. I don't know any reason why I wouldn't call them.
I missed most of that. Who are you going to call?
Everyone is telling you that stop using AOL dial-up and get better internet. And Mr. E said for $100 a month, your internet will save your life. So, I think
I have high speed. I have a high speed connection, so it's
no.
I'm not sure what the problem
higher
is.
speed than dial-up.
Yeah,
someone said
it's not cheap internet. I promise you.
1 gigabyte. They said you need at least 1 gigabyte signal. They didn't say that. I added that.
I feel like I need a better fire extinguisher. These were in a Christmas stocking this year, and there's 3 or 4 laying around the house, and I'm looking at that going, that's not going to do the job. I think I need to spend some money on a decent fire extinguisher and learn how to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably need a fire extinguisher as well. I probably need a couple. I don't have any in there, but it would not be a bad thing to have. And they're not even that expensive. But a fire extinguishers, if I'm not mistaken, they do have a lifespan, right? Like you have
That's
to
correct.
replace them every so often.
I mean, somebody comes around at work, checks all the fire extinguishers in the building, and making sure they're charged, make sure they're in date. So you have to, if you have an old fire extinguisher, just get rid of it. It's not going to do the job.
Yeah. Dang, fire extinguishers are kind of expensive. Jeez. I didn't realize it. Well, actually, this one's like $25. That's not too bad.
I mean, there's a fire extinguisher for every budget.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the thing, right? Like when we're talking about safety equipment, maybe it's better not to go cheap on certain things. Yeah. Well, for me, I don't know that I'd ever get in a situation where I couldn't get out of my shed because I have I have a door like everywhere. So if the fire's in front of me, I could go behind. If the fire's behind me, I could go in front of me. If the fire's in front and behind me, I can go to the side. But I completely agree.
I'm not
I'm
worried about getting out. I'm worried about all the stuff getting destroyed.
Yeah, well, that's why you have insurance, right? Guys, best safety tip, make sure you have insurance.
Right. Make sure it's paid up.
Yeah, jeez. Make sure.
Let me look at my bag of props here and make sure I've covered everything.
I was talking about this company X Tool because they always have like everything, right? Like that's the thing that I like about them. And that's the reason why if I only had one laser to go with, I'd probably go with the X Tool just because they're innovators, right? And so they came out with a new like enclosure that also includes fire suppression on it. So you can hit a button and it'll just, suppress the fire, which is kind of cool.
All right, here's the ultimate safety tip. Whenever you're doing something dangerous, don't be there.
What?
It's a line from Cobra Kai. No be there, right?
Oh, yeah.
The best way to avoid a fight, don't be there. So believe it or not, I think you have the best safety equipment of all, and that's your laser and your CNC machine. Because once you set those up, you walk away.
Yeah.
You don't need to wear a dust mask when the machine's going.
It's true. And that's one of the things, and I don't go back until it's done for a while. And there is a truth to that. I can leave and come back and I don't have to worry about that. And that's one of the things that, we talked about a lot. Some people say, well, why in the videos don't you just cut it by hand? Like a lot of the stuff that you do on the CNC, you could do by hand. And they're right. I could, but then I have to be cutting it with my ear protection on, my mask on. I have to be like sweating. And so it's like, hey, if I have the means to do it smarter, then I'm going to. Like the only thing I have to do is put the wood on there and screw it down in the corners just to make sure that it doesn't move on me, and I'm good.
No be there.
Scott Bowie needs to buy a CNC. He said the things I could build with a CNC. I want to see it. He could probably build another enclosure for his other sub.
I'm more and more to go into the CNC world. I've been trying to avoid it, but I think I'm going to have to.
It really does. Like that's the thing. I mean, when we're talking about safety equipment, you're probably right. I mean, a CNC is probably one of the safer tools to have. You have no problem with kickback, right? Because you're not using the machine. You don't have to worry about that. I mean, unless you're putting your hand on the material while it's cutting, which would be silly, or by the ball bearings or something while it's moving, those types of things, like then that, that's kind of on you. You know what? We didn't talk about loose clothing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, loose clothing is dangerous. You want to wear short sleeves and you don't want, your shirt tail hanging out over your saw. Loose clothing is dangerous.
Yeah, loose clothing could be dangerous, but I just thought of that because I'm like, well, if I had loose clothing kind of near the ball bearings, and that could be dangerous, you know. And a CNC can be dangerous. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you see, with as much torque as like a professional CNC has, I mean, you could get really hurt on one if you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Just don't do the things you shouldn't be doing. Oh, I want to
So
get one
something
of
to go
those. How
along
do
with.
you like that?
So I'll tell the whole story in both of them here. Something to go along with loose clothing, and that is extension cords that you can trip and fall over. Because what might happen is you might say, for example, accidentally short out the terminals of a battery and jump back real quick and yell a bunch of dirty words. And you would have been just fine if it weren't for the fact there was a pile of extension cords behind you and air hoses behind you. And then over you go as you get tangled up in them. This one I got from Northern Tool, and it's a 15 amp, and it's good, thick, heavy cable. And they don't retract back as well as I wish it would, which is good because you don't have to worry about it then tracking back on you. And I've got one that's a Harbor Freight model, and really there's no difference between the two besides current carrying capacity. As an extension cord, they both work about the same. And I don't know how much they are. There's a cord reel for every price range. How much do you want to spend? You can get them for 200. You can get them for 50.
Yeah.
But that's
So
right up there with
I'm a,
things like loose clothing, right? Things like that you don't think about, that things go wrong in a hurry. Oh, look, don't wear gloves when using a table saw, because if the gloves get into the saw blade, it's just going to pull your whole body in.
So I'm going to say this to Scott Bowie, who said, hey, CNCs are too much money, and they are. But we just did a video on CNCs, lasers, and all the new technology. And there is a Workbee CNC. It's by Bulkman 3D. And depending on the size you get, if you want a 4 foot by 4 foot, go with the ball screw. Don't do the lead screw. But if you're going with like a 2 foot by 2 foot or something of that nature, you can go with the lead screw. And they're relatively inexpensive. I mean, I think. I'm not saying that they're cheap. Like for a ball screw 4 foot by 4 foot with everything that you need is probably going to be about $2,000. But that's still a lot cheaper than a lot of CNCs. But you could get like a 2 foot by 2 foot for probably under $1,000. I don't know. I'm not looking at them right now, but I can't remember. If you want to watch the video, you can go back and watch the video. And we went over what we thought, right?
Okay. This question on the screen here. What about first aid? Do you have a first aid kit in your shop?
No, but my shop is literally like just a few feet from the house. So I just, I've got a nurse. So I married a nurse. So I got her.
Okay.
although the first time I got hurt, I was at her place. This is before we were married. First time I got hurt, I said, I need a Band-Aid. And she goes, I don't have any Band-Aids. I'm like, you're a nurse. How do you not have Band-Aids? Like, kind of loud. I thought that was like something you had to have in your house. Otherwise you got fired from being a nurse. Jeez.
Right. I mean, you could bleed out quickly. I mean, yeah, you can bleed out quickly, and the tool doesn't care. The tool. I mean, bandsaws are made to cut through meat and bone just as well as wood. I mean, saws cut.
True.
Only thing that hurts worse than a shop accident is the
I'll finish that. Is the I told you so from the wife. That's true. So we rented that mini excavator. It's kind of funny. Mm-hmm. And after so long of digging we were digging in clay, and after so long, the clay would start sticking to the sides. So we'd have to pressure wash it off and then spray the bucket with some WD-40 to keep it from sticking. And then that would work for so long. We'd have to keep doing that. And I don't know. Someone else might know a better trick than WD-40, but that's what we were told, and that's what we used. And so the first time comes, it needs to be pressure washed off. And I left the bucket in like the perfect thing. And my wife's like, that is not the way to put it down there, Nick. And I was like, okay, well, how do you want it? I said, I'll put it whatever way you want. And she's like, you put it this way. And I was like, okay. But if you keep it the way I had it, which was the bucket like facing down on Earth, then as you're spraying, it'll fall out of the bucket. But she wanted it like scooped like this, so she's spraying. I don't remember, but I was like, okay, and I was like, I'll just do it. So then I sprayed it, and then like 5 minutes later, she's like, can you put the bucket back the way that you had it the first time? I think that might be the better way. I was like, I told you that. And she goes, I hate it when you're right. I said, oh, jeez. I was like, okay. So I guess it goes both ways.
Who needs a first aid kit when you got electrical tape and a shop towel? This is funny.
And super glue.
Cut myself. Right, super glue. They use it as a medical adhesive. Whenever I do cut myself, I only get the Band-Aid out when I realize that I'm bleeding on whatever I'm working on. And so oh crap, now I'm making a mess. Probably not the best approach, but that's what I do.
I like what Ashley said. Hey, let the tool do all the cutting. Don't push anything unless you know exactly what you're doing. Always keep loose clothes away from your cutting surface. And there's a truth to that, right? Like if you're pushing really, really hard, then something's not working right. Like you have it cocked or something, or your blade is way too dull and you need to shut that thing down and switch out your blade or something. Figure out what's going on. Don't just push through it.
I mean, budget to replace reeds every so often. It depends on how much you use them. And they get dull just sitting there, right? They're exposed to the elements. They will get dull if you don't use them. Don't be afraid to change out the blade. And if you're pushing hard, it's a problem. Yeah. Don't work harder, work smarter. Years later, you'll regret it. All right, here's
El
one.
Buffoon wants to know if your internet can
using a.
Ooh.
What's that?
Go ahead. Oh, El Buffoon wants to know if your internet connection is a DIY project.
It's not. It's not.
That's a good one, though. Yeah, well, we are over the hour mark. Is there anything else you want to say before? I mean, there's so many safety tips we could tell you. It looks like most of you guys know them, which is good. Yeah, I mean, we could probably do this for a week, but we're not going to.
Tell us what you got coming up next on your channel, Nick. What can we expect if we're subscribed to the Toys DIY channel?
Well, first, if you get a chance, subscribe to Tekken Out. It's my other channel that I'm just starting. I'm going to try to get to 1,000 subscribers as fast as possible, and I'm going to show a bunch of technology that wouldn't be on the audio channel. So all kinds of good tech. So if you like technology, if you like to be in the know about new tech, that's going to be on it. If you want the link to that, it's on my community page, toydsdiyaudio.com. Just go ahead and do that. Please do. And by the way, I noticed a bunch of you guys already subscribed, so thank you. I mean, I think I was at 7, and now I'm up to like 21. So that's great. So thank you very much for doing that. Now, what do I have going on right now? So I told you guys this earlier. I got all those amplifiers in, so I might do... I'm not sure if I'm going to do like an amplifier shootout or if I'm just going to do a video on each one. I'm not sure. But I have a bunch of amplifiers to test. And I have that new Arylic one. And that video was designed to come out this week. So I'm really excited about the Arylic one. Because that one, dude, I don't know how they sell it so cheap. I really do not know how they sell it so cheap. And that's one of these things that's like, man. Now, I haven't used it yet. So maybe my expectations will be set after I use it. But I mean, that thing has HDMI ARC. It has Bluetooth that you can Bluetooth to it and Bluetooth out, so I can connect to my Bluetooth headphones. I mean, it literally does pretty much everything I could possibly think of. So, assuming it works well, and it's a DAC and it has DSP built in, I can hook it up to my computer and DSP anything I want, but low pass, high pass, I can do anything I want to it. It's pretty crazy. So, with all that in mind, and it's only like $100 and some. It's really inexpensive. So if this tests well and does everything that they promise, I mean, I don't know anything on the market that can touch it. I really don't. So I hope it tests well. And Arylic is always good. They use really good chips. They usually use Infineon. I'm not sure what's in this particular amplifier, but they always use high-end chips. So it's never just a cheap chip. I mean, it'll be like a Texas Instruments or an Infineon or something typically of that nature. So I'll have to either open it up or talk to them about which chip is actually in it. So I have those I can't give the link to the other channel because Justin blocks it. Not on purpose. YouTube automatically blocks it. But it's called Tech In Out, like in and out, and it is on my community page. So if you go to toidsdiyaudio.com and click on community, there's a link there. You can click the link on that. That's the only way I can do it. So you guys can blame Justin for not letting me put it on here.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
And I also have a portable projector coming out. And this thing's pretty interesting because they did this all around color quality. So they wanted to make sure it was color correct. And it's 90% DCI-P3, which is like crazy. So, or maybe it's 93. It's in the 90 percentile, but for a budget under 500, a projector under $500 that's also designed to be portable, it's pretty impressive.
So I'm on your community tab on your YouTube channel, and I'm not finding the Tech In Out page. Is it under the about or the channels maybe?
No, you go to my community page, like community, and
yeah,
then
community is where all your
like
posts are made.
posts.
Like community post. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's the first one. I started a second channel. This one will focus primarily on reviews of electronics, and then there's the. You see it?
It's not there.
You know what? I'll
Not
tell you
seeing
what.
it.
I will send it to you in private chat. How about that?
That sounds good. And then I'll drop it in the main chat then.
There you go.
Let's make sure everyone
It's in private chat.
has connection. Private chat.
Maybe it doesn't
All
exist.
right. Copy it from private chat. Take it over to the comments and enter.
things
There
we
we
do
go.
for
Let's
each
see if
other.
that works.
Yeah, that
Hey,
worked.
whatever
I
it
can see
takes.
it. Excellent. All right. Oh, Ashley wants to know
No,
if
I
you have a
don't
lot
have
of.
anything else running on my computer. It's just it's the network connection. It this time of the evening it tends to just lag. I don't know what to tell you. It's
So
time to upgrade, I suppose.
One other thing I forgot to tell you about. So this will not come out this week, but this is one I'm really excited about. People keep asking me about the Eminence project. The Eminence project probably won't come out until I finish the other project with Tom, because I'm trying to prioritize him. Although it might, depending on how long. But Tom Zarbo of Zarbo Audio Projects, him and I are working on this speaker that I think is pretty cool. Each one has an 8-inch GRS high excursion subwoofer in it that's going to be powered separately. So it's going to have its own power. You're going to be able to turn up or down the bass as much as you want. It's going to use a DSP amplifier, so we can DSP everything. And then it will have a two-way above it. So it's basically, each one is going to be a 2.1 speaker. Very similar to like the Dynas in that regard, but it should sound, in my opinion, better than the Dynas. So it should be a really, really fun, cool speaker. So I've been working on that in the background with him, and I'm really excited to get that out. It's weird because this is the first time I haven't built the cabinets. He wanted to build all the cabinets. So I'm waiting for him to finish the cabinets. And he's doing an excellent job. He keeps showing me pictures. It's cool. It's nice to not have to do the cabinets too. And it's really cool. Justin, he does great work. So I'm excited.
Excellent work. Yeah, he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you guys for subscribing. I appreciate that.
What's next up on my channel? The Super Beast saga continues. I've got it wired up to the test bench, and the next thing to do is start grabbing some amplifiers and see if all this extra amp hours of lithium will give me enough extra juice to get some of these amps up to their full potential. We'll see how it goes. Let's see if it gets enough power to run the JP23.
Dude, that looks so good.
I'm happy with it. I got an email from the guy who runs Battery Hookup. He saw the video, really liked it, had some ideas. He really wants me to try a battery management system, a BMS on it. Sure, maybe. A 300 amp BMS is as expensive as the entire Super Beast. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the drawback with them. But we'll see what we can get going. I might buy one. I might see how it goes. But there you go.
Ashley said he's going to buy one now. You've talked him into it.
My plan is to get another one and just harvest the cells and make a real nice case, or buy or order or build a nice case, acrylic or something like that, to use in the vehicle.
That'd be cool.
because it's about the cheapest way to get your hands on headway cells. Less than $5 a cell when you buy the Super Beast, but you get a ton of cells is the problem.
I like that. I think that's cool. I don't think I would ever build one myself because I don't necessarily have a need for it. But, you know, I think it's amazing. Like what you guys do with that. Like that's, I think Ashley said it best. For under $300, you really can't beat it.
I can get you 5% off with my code DIY Audio.
Oh, even cheaper now.
Even cheaper, even cheaper.
Even better.
You still have to pay for shipping. Shipping wasn't that bad, $25. I've paid more for shipping. So,
Dude, that is so. I was working. I was looking at buying a product. I can't remember what it was, but the shipping was like double the cost of the product, and it wasn't a cheap product. It was an expensive product. Can't remember what it was. Oh, I remember now. But yeah, I was like, dang, it was like $50. It wasn't double. It was like $50 for shipping though on like a $200 item. You know, so it was. I mean, it was a good amount. A quarter of it. I was like, ooh.
I want to say I paid $200 to ship the saw stop, and it came on a trailer with one of those lift gates, and the guy had a powered pallet jack to roll it into the garage. So like, I don't know. Shipping's weird. I don't understand how shipping works.
I think that's because you live in a residential area, right? So like those residential, whatever. Anyway, True Voice of Reason said, "Hey, how long do you think that could power a Bluetooth speaker?" I don't know, a couple months,
A couple of days, forever.
a couple days. Jeez, I need one of those for the portable projector. Power it out there. That'd actually be pretty cool.
I mean, you could hook an inverter up to it. People do that. That's what they use them for oftentimes.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting idea. All right, I think that's it, right?
That is it.
Or do you have
We've been
anything
at it
else?
for a while? I think it's time to sign off. Thank y'all for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.